Good afternoon. TechNation editor John Wallace here. Thank you for joining us for today's Tools of the Trade live demo. We are going to be talking about and featuring the Pronk Mobilize wireless solution. I want to thank Pronk for sponsoring today's webinar. And we have the wonderful, intelligent Julio Castro with us today presenting the webinar. Today's Tools of the Trade live demo will focus on how to solve the challenge of having the proper test procedure for a wide range of medical devices using the Pronk Mobilize compatible test equipment. The demo will include the Mobilize app running automated step-by-step electronic procedures that include testing options. These options use user configurable that provide the ability to adapt the procedure according to the particular configuration of the medical device and test equipment. We will also see how a biomedical engineer can create a library of test protocols and execute automated testing via wireless connectivity to the test equipment. The demo will show how efficiency and accuracy can be gained when testing infusion pumps, patient monitors, sequential compression devices, and other devices using the app. Now, before we begin, I want to remind the attendees that today's presentation is eligible for 1 CE credit from the ACI. 1 hour after the end of today's broadcast, you will receive an emailed survey. Completing that survey will grant access to a certificate that you can download and print from your desktop or computer. We will wrap up today's broadcast with a Q&A session. Please note that the webinar dashboard includes a questions feature. You can submit your questions for the presenter at any time during the demo. Also want to let you know that we are giving away a great prize today. So to be entered to win that prize, we have a trivia question. And the question is, in the Christmas classic, what is Scrooge's first name? So go ahead and use the question feature on the dashboard there to submit your answer. And without any further ado, I want to introduce you again to Julio Castro, Regional Sales Director for Pronk Technologies. Among other responsibilities, Julio travels to biomedical associations nationwide, presenting technical and educational information to the HTM community. Julio, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Great. Thank you very much, John. Thank you to TechNation as well for hosting the Tools of the Trade demonstration here. Appreciate everyone attending, taking time out of their busy day. We have a lot to cover, but we'll do it in a short amount of time. Going to discuss today our Mobilize wireless solution. And what it's about utilizing test equipment that we've designed and created that has a wireless, a low energy Bluetooth technology embedded into it. And of course, Bluetooth technology is not a new technology, but it is somewhat new in test equipment and how we're utilizing it. And so we've designed it so that our Pronk Safety Sim Electrical Safety Analyzer has this low energy Bluetooth. Over here on the left, our SimCube NIBP simulator, our SPO2 Oxen Flex simulator also has this feature. Our new Pressure Max digital pressure meter also has this wireless Mobilize feature, as well as our Pronk FlowTrax IV pump analyzer. We've incorporated this low energy Bluetooth. And the concept is to be able to give you the ability to control these devices, have them execute the tests that you've designed, you've programmed, and have all this test equipment execute those tests and have them funnel back all of their data back into our mobile app so that you can generate a complete electronic report. So what you're seeing here kind of on the back screen is kind of a display. We're actually running the app on Apple iOS device, but for purposes of the demonstration, I put it up here on the big screen. We do also have in beta now the Android version of the Mobilize app, and we're also going to be releasing the Windows version of the Mobilize app so that it fits different applications, different devices that you may be utilizing. So the concept of the app is to be able to give you a tool along with Pronk Mobilize test equipment that you have or you can upgrade to. But we also designed it so that the platform is an open platform that can integrate other brand test equipment. So we've integrated defib analyzers. We recently integrated the TSI ventilator analyzer. We're working on integrating other devices. And so the concept is to give you a platform that allows you to utilize your Pronk devices or maybe another device that you're utilizing for other testing and have them all be controlled from one user interface, one app, have them execute all the tests, and like I said, generate a complete report from one place. And so part of this demonstration today, we'll be highlighting how we're utilizing device here from Daytrend Systems. It's called the Phase 3 DFib Analyzer. So that we've worked with them to incorporate a wireless Bluetooth technology so that we can communicate to it and have their data transmitted back to the app. So it's really a beneficial feature, and we'll walk through that. So focusing now on the app, you'll see here in the back, just to kind of give you a little landscaping overview, you have the ability here to, this is the home page, and so you have the header information here at the top, which you can customize. You can customize this to represent your facility, your organization, technician. Below that, you have the ability to manually enter in an asset ID because you want to generate an electronic report and you want to have that associated with an asset ID. So you could tap on here, opens up the window, and you can type in your asset ID. Or ideally, if you're utilizing barcodes, you can tap on the scan function here. It will activate the camera on your device, and you can just go over to the medical device and scan its barcode so that it can be accurately captured into the report. And so below this, you have different modes you can utilize the app in. You have here what we're looking at, what's highlighted in blue is the safety only mode. So if you're going to be performing electrical safety tests, that's predominantly the one test you need to do. Maybe you're doing incoming inspections. Maybe you're doing a device that only needs electrical safety inspections, or one with electrical safety plus ECG or respiration. You can utilize this to do that. And so the safety only mode allows you to be able to run those automated sequences. You have the capability to run automated sequences from our device itself. We call it the safety sim. So I can utilize and execute the automated sequences I have loaded on the device itself. Or you have the ability to run and execute what we call app profiles or app automated sequences that you can program. And you would see here on the right the library of those sequences that you can create and add to your library. So the user can customize all of this. You have different test sequences that we have here that I've created. According to NFPA standards, you can run that test without applied parts or with applied parts. We created one with double insulated. If you're following other international standards, you can create those profiles. And so you could scroll and just see different examples of different automated sequences. So you can name them by the standard. You can name them by the device type. So you can configure, hundreds of different automated electrical test sequences for those devices, depending on what your protocols are to run those tests. Below that, you have what the device is doing. So what the analyzer is doing. Right now, we're not testing anything, so you can see it's just there idle. Below that, you see what the connection is between the app and the devices. And so when you have a green light there, you see that it is connected and paired. So it's Bluetooth technology, so you connect and pair to it. And once you've connected and paired to it, you have control over it. And so the great thing about this low energy Bluetooth is that I can connect multiple devices. So you can see this is the acronym for the safety analyzer. This is for the SIM cube. My Option Flex is here. It's an X, so it's not connected, and that's because it went into power save mode here. I'll go ahead and turn it back on. And we can connect multiple devices at the same time. And this low energy Bluetooth really has a reliable connectivity. So you're not going to have any loss of connection, loss of data transmission. So the next thing you want to do is just select the test you want to run. So we're going to go ahead and just do a quick test. Let's just say on this Plum 360 pump, I've connected the IV pump to the analyzer. We're going to go ahead and connect the test lead cable to the back of the device as well. And I'm going to highlight the test I want to run. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the Plum 360 just for the sake of this test. And I'm going to hit start. And what it's going to do is going to immediately tell the analyzer to execute the sequence of tests that I've programmed into it. And you'll see in the window below, it will display the test that it's running. In the center, it will display the measured values. And then below is the device under test, how much current draw it is pulling through the analyzer. So it's generating and running all these tests. And as it's running these tests, that data is being transmitted back to the app, being captured. And at the end of the test, the device stays green if everything passes, and you'll display a report. The report shows the header information that we've created, that asset ID of that device. It shows you the test equipment that's being utilized, calibration date, and so it has all of this information on the report. And you can see all of the test data for the leakage measurement that was made, the test limits that you have set for the device, and so it's all there in the report If I need to, I can add notes to it. So you want to add something maybe you observed when you did that inspection, or you can turn on the camera function again. And then if you want to take an image of the device under test, you can just kind of hold it up to the device. Maybe you want to document some physical damage that was done to it. So you have that in the report. When you generate a PDF report, it will have that image on the report itself. So simple way to generate an electronic report running the electrical safety test that you've designed, you've created for your testing. Then of course, there's various ways to transmit this information back to your CMS into a cloud drive. You could generate an email with a PDF. We could integrate it into your CMS. So you decide how you want to move the data. The app itself saves 1,000 records. You can see here on the left, I have about 953 records out of 1,000. And so you're able to do a lot of work within the one app. So that's a real basic mode. It's just for performing electrical safety. There is a second mode here called device type. Now, device type is where you can create your own library of basic testing protocols using a combination of Pronk Mobilize compatible equipment. So here as a user, you can create a library of various sequences for different kinds of devices. Could be for defibrillators, EKG carts, maybe a defibrillator, an oximeter. It could be for a whole host of devices. So this is where I could combine different kinds of test equipment to do various kinds of tests. And as I said, your user can create this library. So to give you a quick example of that, we're going to kind of continue on with the Plum 360 here, but now we're going to perform an electrical safety test. And also I need to perform some volume and some occlusion testing with it. So I want to do this all together so I can generate a single report. So same concept, I got to enter in an asset ID. I'll just kind of manually enter it for now. We'll just put in a number here. Or if you had barcodes, like I mentioned, you could have those immediately scanned and entered in there. And now you go through your library and you find your test you want to run. We're going to go ahead and locate the Plum 360. It's right here. I'm going to go and select that and hit start. When I do that, it's running a combination of tests. So here at the top, this combination test that I've created, and you can edit, you can modify, is running an electrical safety test as well. It's running a different safety test this time. It's running a safety test according to NFPA standards. And so that's kind of the test that's been chosen for this sequence, and it's running through it here, just like you saw in the prior test. Now, as a technician, I can do my visual inspection on the IV pump, determined I've completed that, I've passed it. If there's any interaction you have to do with the test equipment, you're doing it from the app itself. You don't have to interact with the devices. You can see here at the top, it's asking me to switch the power on the device under test. So I'm going to go ahead and power this on, because with this standard for electrical safety we're utilizing, NFPA 99 2012, it requires us to do electrical safety testing twice. Once with the unit off, once with the unit on. So once I've turned it on, I can hit continue, and it will repeat that electrical safety test a second time. While that's happening, I can get ready to do my volume test. I'm going to do a volume test on the pump. It's one of the most common, most important tests to run. So you tap on the volume screen here, and here you can program your test points. So here you can see I have a value of 10 milliliters of volume, 200 milliliters flow rate. And if I'm needing to do a time test, you can enter in a field here as a target time. There's some IV pumps that want you to measure it in time, not in volume, like the B-Braun. And so you have the option here to enter in a time if you need to. And I can change these values. For the purposes of this video, just to save time, I'm going to change the target volume, the target rate, I should say, to 500, just to get through it a little bit faster. Oops, let me delete that. We're going to change this to 500. So I'm using this highlighter just so you know, so you can see what is happening. Of course, on the app, you're just tapping on the screen. And of course, if I need to, I could change the volume. We're going to do a quick test, but here's your targets. And then over here to the right are your measurements that are coming from the analyzer. So we're ready to start this volume test. I'm going to go ahead and program the pump now. I need to go ahead and do that. So give me 1 second while I program this pump. And we'll go ahead and do the quick test here at 500 milliliters. And we'll do a volume of 10. And I can hit start. And then the very last thing I want to do is kind of zero out any measurements I had. I'm doing that from the app itself as well. I'm going to hit reset flow, which is kind of a zero of the analyzer. It's going to go ahead and zero it. And now I can start the test. When I start this test, you'll see that the analyzer itself, hopefully you can see it pretty well, is starting to make its measurements. And so it's going to start measuring the average flow rate, average volume, and it's also transmitting that information over to the app. So the app is capturing total volume, and you can see it's continually incrementing since we started the test, and it's calculating an average flow rate. And then, of course, you see the elapsed time. So this information is being transmitted live. I'm seeing it on the app. I'm working just from the app to perform this test. So I've captured my electrical safety data, and I'm going to capture my volume data and complete this test as I need to. So it's really beneficial in that I could just set up my test equipment and just work from the app itself. And I don't have to manually document anything in terms of my service report. I'm just working electronically, paperless, to capture everything I need to do to make sure that everything's documented in a much easier, more efficient way. You can see we're getting close. And as the measurements are coming across on the flow tracks, it's pretty close to real time as it transmits it over to the app. You can see there's not much of a delay there. And so we're able to do that and capture all this information. So we're getting close. It alarmed. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop so that the KBO doesn't kick on. And then here's our final results. So on a target of 10, here's our volume result. Here's our average flow rate, time, of course. And then I could capture that result, lock it into the report. And when you hit that button, you'll be able to see your deltas. You'll see your target, your measured volume versus your target, and we'll display it to you as a delta deviation as in terms of a percentage and in volume. And for reference, we also display the rate just so you can see that as well. Then there's the elapsed time. And as a technician, you've confirmed this result either passes or fails, or you can cancel it and repeat it and go on to the next test. So it's very simple. It's very open architecture in the sense that as a technician, you decide what the targets are. You decide what is the acceptable range. If I needed to do more tests, I could hit more and repeat a second volume test, or maybe I have different test points I want to test to, and you can capture those multiple points. We're going to go ahead and just stick to one and go over to the occlusion test. The occlusion test, another important test. I want to go ahead and do that. You have values in here. We're going to go ahead and leave it at 6 psi. That's the target for this Plum 360 pump. We need to hit 6 psi. There's a kind of a clever feature here. We call it auto occlude, which is you could program a value into that, and it represents when do you want the actual occlusion test to begin. Because most manufacturers, when you do the occlusion test, they want you to let a certain amount of volume flow through before you start. Well, I have it programmed for 0.5 milliliters, and that means when the device and the app determine 0.5 milliliters have been infused, it will start the occlusion test. So let's go ahead and do this test. I'm going to go ahead and program for a lower rate just so we can see how this happens, and it doesn't happen too quickly. And in most IV pumps, you're going to test at a lower rate anyway. So we'll go ahead and do that. I program the value. Again, just like before, the last thing I do is hit reset flow, zero things out. And then I'm going to hit start on the pump. So it will start to infuse. You'll see it starts to display the maximum pressure here, and it's pretty low right now. We're flowing at a low flow. You can see the volume is starting to increase. Once you see this value get to 0.5, the flow tracks will know to start the occlusion test. So the app tells flow tracks, start the occlusion test, and it begins. And you can see pressure starts to build up. So we're starting to measure peak pressure here within the app, capturing that result from the flow tracks. And of course, once the pump alarms, I'll go ahead and capture this result so we can look at it. I'll go ahead and stop the alarm real quick. And then we could see our measured occlusion pressure versus our target and our deviation. Very close to the exact number. This device passes that test. And same thing as before, I can do additional tests for occlusion if I need to. And then once I'm done, I can hit done. And because I made some modifications to the settings, it wants to give me, the app will give you the option to save it as a new test protocol. Maybe you were testing a different device. Maybe it was a Sigma Spectrum pump and you didn't have that in your library, but you had this Plum 360. Well, you could just utilize that Plum 360, change the settings, run your tests, and at the end, you can save it as a new sequence. Or if you just want to update your Plum 360, you can save those setting changes as well. So this allows you to build your library as you're working. You don't have to create all these protocols ahead of time. You can just run a generic one or one similar, make your modifications, save it as a new test protocol. But I'm going to hit don't store. And then at the end here, you'll see that the report similar to what we saw earlier. Now, because we used a different device, you'll see the flow tracks listed as well here with its calibration date and then all our electrical safety data. It displays each individual test, as we mentioned, the measured values versus the standards, your test limits. So we have that, and then down below we have all of our infusion testing that we did. So it allows me to have multiple devices, utilize multiple devices, communicate with them, have them run the test, collect the data, and have it all in one report. So that's the nice thing. I don't have to go around trying to keep track of this manually. Of course, we'll display each test result individually and an overall test result, making sure everything passed. And we'll display it again here in green just to make sure, in case you had a failure, you don't miss that, because we want to go ahead and address that problem if indeed something failed. And again, you have the ability to have all this methods to share the information. You can auto route the reports to a cloud drive, a network drive. So if you want to, with a single press of a button, you can just have this transmitted over to a location. Right now, I've got it set to email, just send the report to email, but I can select cloud drive, network drive. You decide where you want to share it to, or you could just do it manually. You could use the share functions manually to share the report to whatever your device has access to share to. And again, as I mentioned, or we can integrate it to your CMS system as well. We'll talk about PM Sticker a little later. You're probably a little curious what that button is. We'll catch that at the end here. So we'll go back, and now we have a third mode you can utilize the app in. And this is checklist mode. And in this mode, you can utilize more detailed procedures that guide you through the preventative maintenance. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides. Bear with me 1 second while I move over to the other side, and we're going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to swing over here. And we're going to be utilizing a checklist. So this is a library of checklists that Pronk has created. We are creating manufacturer level procedures that you can have in your library. And so this is what the checklist mode is about. So you have here at the bottom this window that lists a variety of different procedures. And these procedures can be your procedures that we work with you to design automation into. So we have that capability. Like I mentioned, we're working on a library of manufacturer level procedures, and you'll see they're listed there as OEM, or if there's a functional procedure, you'll be able to distinguish one from the other. And so this library allows you to have all of your procedures you have in a mobile way. So it eliminates the need to have access to the manually go looking for the procedure. Maybe you're using your own protocols, your own procedures. Why not have them with the technician as they're performing the work? So that's the benefit of this. And so let's say, and so we have a tool we're developing that allows us to create these procedures and checklists. We're going to make this tool available to customers as well. If they want to create their own automated procedures, they'll be able to do that. Or if they wish to have Pronk create those procedures, we can do that as well. And these are not just simple text procedures. There's programming behind the steps that instruct the test equipment on what test to do, what to report back, what are the pass-fail limits. So it's much more than just a typical text type procedure. So let's say we want to go ahead and perform a test. In this case, we're going to be testing this older Zoll M series, and I need to do a variety of things. I need to do an electrical safety test. So we're going to go ahead and connect that Zoll defib up to it. Make sure we get that in there. We also are going to be utilizing a defib analyzer. We're going to utilize this Daytrend defib analyzer. We're going to utilize our SimCube and IMEP simulator for doing some vital sign simulation testing, as well as SpO2 simulator to do some quick SpO2 tests. So we won't run through the entire procedure because, of course, you're probably pretty familiar with it, and it takes some time. So we're just going to highlight certain portions of the procedure so you can see how that works. So let's say we want to do a test. I can either search within the library for my procedure. I can just type in Zoll. And you can see here, when I hit search, it will give me just a list of that particular list of procedures. So in our library, we have these procedures available. You can select from all of these are manufacturer level procedures. But let's say you want to understand a little bit more detail about procedure. Where did this procedure come from? How do I know what it's based off of? If you highlight any procedure, hit checklist detail, you'll be able to see more details about the origins of this procedure, including revision. So we give you the name of the procedure. We even display what the revision of the service manual is based on, because that's real important. We want to know what service manual is this procedure based on, because you may need to be utilizing the most latest version, depending on the device, or you may be needing to utilize an older version if you have an older hardware or software configuration. So we give you that reference to the procedure. Also list a Mobilize compatible equipment it's compatible with, so you can see that here as well. And then we have an author there, it could be yourself. In this case, it's our internal biomedical engineer we're utilizing to generate these checklists. And it also has a revision control. So you can, if you're going to revise the procedures, you want to make sure you have a revision control, you have that date stamp in there as well. And you also have a reason for the change. Why was this procedure modified? So it gives you all of the demographic information, all of the metadata regarding this procedure, so we'll know that we have a reference to what it is. So that's one way you could select a procedure. But another really advantage within the Mobilize app to try to really streamline and create automation is if you can load your asset inventory into the app and associate it with a procedure. So if I want to make sure my team is utilizing the right procedure, I can load that asset information, that demographic information, with what procedures are associated with it. And then I could just turn on that scan function again on the app. I'll go and do that. I can just scan the barcode on the unit. Let's see. And then it will open up the proper procedure for that asset ID. So in this case, we're going to service a ZOL M series. And you can see at the top, it opened up that ZOL M series procedure as well. And over here on the right, if you wanted to double check the details of what origin of this procedure is, you can see it here as well. Now, there's something unique here, which is something we call setup of the checklist options. So the procedure has options that allow you to dynamically change the steps that need to be performed for that procedure. Why is that? Well, because there could be optional tests the manufacturer gives you the ability to test or not to test, depending on what you're doing. So when we created our manufacturer level procedure, if the manufacturer made the test optional, we give the technician the option to turn the test on or turn the test off. Like if I were to tap on power supply test now, you can see my step down below here for performing the power supply test appears. So I would have to perform that test. But if it's not a test that is required me to do, then I can just tap on it again. It compresses the procedure, eliminates that step. So why have it in the procedure if I don't need to perform it? So this is true for anything the manufacturer says is optional. You can also select what Mobilize compatible devices you want to run the test equipment automation with. So ideally, you want to have as much test equipment available so we can automate the testing. And so here you would select your devices. So in this case, we have the option selecting between the BC group defib analyzer or the Datrim phase 3. I've selected that. And then you kind of configure the procedure based on the device you're testing. So you can see here, depending on what kind of ZOL M I'm testing and what options it has, I could select these other tests. So I'm going to go ahead and just enable Pacer test. I'm going to enable an SpO2 test. And you can see I could pick OXM. Or if I don't have an automated Mobilize compatible device, I can select other equipment. And that allows me, maybe I don't have at the moment a Mobilize compatible device. I still want to run the procedure. So you could select other and it will allow you to manually enter in that result. So it makes it much, much more efficient. Having a procedure right there in front of you, you're out there on the floor working, and I know exactly what I need to do. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn on NIBP as well. We'll just do one quick test for NIBP. We're going to utilize Mobilize compatible devices, but you can see all these things are optional. So once I've kind of configured my procedure, and it is what we call sticky, so it will remember your settings, and you could, the next time you were to launch that procedure, it will know your options, because you're probably going to be testing multiple devices over again. Some may have the same configuration, and some may differ, so you're able to kind of set up that procedure accordingly. So once you're done and you're ready to run the procedure, it will display all of the steps in that procedure based on the options you selected. So this could be, like I said, manufacturer level procedure. It could be a functional test, incoming inspection. You define what you want the procedure is and what you want the technician to do. Now, in my case, since for the demonstration purpose, you'll see this NA button here on the left. That allows me to skip the test. For a technician, they're not going to have that option. They have to follow the procedure step by step, how it's listed. So you can see here it would be a pass or fail for the step. First step is just acknowledging the procedure. the next step is I need to do a physical inspection. So what we do here is we try to include references from the service manual as to what section of the service manual this test is based on. So if you want to cross-check things, you have that reference there built into the procedure. So let's say you're an experienced technician, you've been doing DFIBs for the last 5 years, you know very well what's involved with the physical inspection. So we try to make it efficient by just having a pass-fail for a physical inspection. And you have the ability to enter in a result here. So maybe as part of the physical inspection, you found a problem, you found a defective cable and accessory, you could document it in this field here. But let's say you're a newer technician and you just got out of training, or maybe it's been a year since you've done any DFIBs. We have this little eye symbol here, and when you tap on it, it will pull up from the service manual the exact detailed steps involved with the physical inspection. So you'll be able to see here, for housing, I need to perform these steps. This is from the service manual, right from the service manual, and on all the way down through the cables, through the battery. Make sure you do these things. So it's a reference there. It's an informational reference. It's a refresher you can have if you want to just cross-check, okay, what do I need to make sure I do for this physical inspection? So we try to include that with critical steps as your guide. Again, trying to eliminate the delays back and forth, trying to recall what are all the things I need to do. They're all built into the procedure. So this next step wants me to do some setup. And so part of our procedures to try to guide the technician is we try to give them some guidance if there's some setup involved before you execute the test. And that's one of the great things we have in having biomedical engineers on our staff is they understand the workflow of a biomedical engineer. Sometimes the service manual may not be organized in the most logical way, I guess we'll say. And so we're able to kind of really configure the procedure so it's in a more common workflow manner than maybe repeating tests and setup multiple times. So in this case, it wants me to set up to do a leakage current test for ECG, for earth and ECG. Okay, let me do that. Oh, I don't remember what I need to do. Tap on the eye symbol. And so what I need to do is I need to connect my ECG cable, which I'll go ahead and do that now, to my safety analyzer. We'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and set that up. And we have it plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and connect. I've connected my red test lead cable to it, so I'm ready to perform the test. So any important setup information that guides you through it, yeah, I've done that. I'm ready to go. Now, whenever there's automation involved where we're running a test with a piece of test equipment, you'll see this run button here. And when you tap it, the app will instruct the analyzer to perform the test that the ZOM procedure requires us to do. And you can see, similar to before, it will display the name of the test, the leakage, and the current draw of the device. So the procedure itself, that step in the procedure has embedded into it the programming, the intelligence to know, do test A and B and C. Here's the pass-fail limits for those tests. And so it eliminates the technician having to recall, okay, what are the pass-fail limits for this device? What are the exact tests I need to do? We put it into the procedure because we're not looking to replace a technician. We're looking to have them, give them the ability to focus on what they do best, which is doing service on the medical device, and minimize the need to go hunting around for the procedure and trying to recall what is exactly required for this test. And so you can see once it's done, it records the value. If every test passes, it will display a pass. If anything failed, we'll flag it as a fail. So you're just following this procedure all the way through. We'll do one more. So in this case, it wants me to set up to do a multifunction cable leakage test. If I'm using paddles or anterior, posterior paddles, I can connect those to the safety analyzer as well. In my case, we're just going to do the multifunction cable. So I'm going to take connections from the multifunction cable, and I'm going to move them over to the apply parts for the safety analyzer. And you can see here, let's see here. My cable doesn't want to cooperate. And I'm going to disconnect my ECG leads because I want to do this test. I'm going to go ahead and hold this there. It's a little bit loose. And I'm going to go ahead and I've got this set up. I'm going to run this test. And now it's going to run a leakage test using the hands-free cable. And the manufacturer wants us to run that separately because we have a different pass-fail limit. So the pass-fail limit is not the same as the ECG leads, and so that's why they want you to run it separately, and you don't want to run it at the same time. So I've done that test. I can move it back to my defib analyzer to continue to the next step. So you can see here, I did the same thing as a prior step. It displayed the test was done, it passed, I can go on to the next test. So these procedures are very detailed. And in this case, the procedure we're running here is a manufacturer level procedure. So you can see every step involved. It has it here to perform these tests. So I'm gonna go ahead and, if you don't mind, just skip a little further down. And like I said, when we're gonna talk and do other tests with other devices, we'll categorize them here for you. We need to do some defib testing utilizing the defib analyzer. And so this test is real basic. It's capturing the model and serial number information from the device because we want to make sure we capture that serial number and that calibration date. So it's a simple command requesting that the analyzer transmit that information so we can have that as part of the report. And you can see here everything involved allows me to do that test. Now, of course, we're going to be doing some defib analyzer tests. I'm going to switch this over my leads to the defib analyzer so you can kind of see a couple quick things. And so, I mean, this is a real basic test. It just wants you to connect things up, make sure you get a signal onto the defib analyzer. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit run here. And it wants to make sure I'm getting a signal from the actual ECG leads. Right now, I'm set up to receive the signal on pads. I'm going to switch it to leads. And as a technician, you're going to verify that you're getting that connection. So it's a real basic test, but it instructed the analyzer set it for ECG so we could perform that test. So it gives me a complete guide on what I need to do. And you can see all these other tests that are part of the procedure. Again, it references what part of the service manual, all the way through heart rate tests. You got your strip recorder tests. So everything is there for you to do. But we're going to go ahead and scroll down. And again, the technician would not be able to skip through these, but we're going to do that since we have administrative rights to go down to do some actual synchronization testing. So this is an interesting test. Sometimes it can be a point of confusion about doing the synchronized cardioversion test. And so it wants me to go ahead and do that. And so what I need to do is go ahead and set up the defib analyzer properly. You can see I need to make sure it's in pads. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to pads. So it guides me through what I need to do. It needs to be in size 1, and I need to be in defib mode. Okay, so I make sure I configure the device properly so I could do this test. And now I need to do a shock delay test, a synchronized cardioversion test. When I run this, it instructs me on what to do. I need to charge the defib. This is biphasic to 200 joules. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I need to make sure I turn on my sync marker to be on so I could display it and see those sync markers that are right above the R wave. You can see them here. And what I might need to do is verify that when the defib discharges, that delay between the sync marker and the defib firing is within 60 milliseconds. So I'm going to go ahead and charge it. And then what we're waiting for in this gray box here is for the analyzer to make the measurement, report back the result. So I'll go ahead and fire it. And the analyzer is making the measurement, it decides the result, and it brings back the joule discharge amount in joules. And then more importantly for this test, what was the sync delay? The cardioversion sync delay, and it's 20 milliseconds. Well within specifications, that test passes. So it gives me a guide here on how to do it. Now, if it happened to fail, I could retest it as well. If you want to test it more than once, you can go ahead and do that. Let's say we need to do a discharge test. I need to do a 5 joule discharge test. Okay, let's do that. Let's charge it to 5 joules. So again, my procedure is there. I can more efficiently get through that PM and get the work done. Not only the test, but the pass-fail limits. Hit discharge, the defib analyzes, reports back its results, and we can see here on a target of 5, we're at 4.5, well within the limits we have set for this device. And you have all of the other tests that need to be performed. And you can see here in this procedure, it wants us to do various shock tests, time tests, but this gives you a sense of what the benefits of having the procedure with you are. It takes the guesswork out of it. I know exactly what needs to be done, and I can get this done and documented in a much more effective and efficient way. So let's just say we need to do some pacer tests, another test that if your defib has it configured, you need to do pacer tests. And of course, you need to make sure you've set it up properly. Again, I can't stress enough the importance of setting up your test equipment properly. In the case of pacer testing, you need to make sure you set the internal impedance properly. If you don't do that, your measurements will be skewed. They could be incorrect if you don't set that internal load impedance. And so what we can do with the app is we can instruct the analyzer to set its load impedance to 100 ohms. So the app is instructed the analyzer set it to 100 ohms so that we're sure our measurements are precise. And the next test is just, and the next thing I need to do is move my connectors, my multifunction cable connections over to the pacer ports on this device. The pacer ports are off on the side. And then the first test is just simply making sure that there's no current being drawn. So I need to go to pacer mode here. And I need to set it to 0 milliamps, which it is. And I need to make sure that there is no current being generated from the defib. And if there's not, you'll see this pacer timeout message. I was a little late, so we're going to hit retest, test it again, make sure that our pacer output is still 0, and it will be confirmed by this pacer timeout message. So we're sure there's no current being generated. Don't want to have it generating current when it's not supposed to be. And so we'll go down, we'll do a quick current test. You can see here, now I need to set it for 40 milliamps. I'll go ahead and do that here. Set it for 40. And then run this test. So again, so it's gonna just guide me through it. I've got my tolerances here. I know what the value is supposed to be. It's making a measurement, samples it for a certain amount of time, gives me a response. So on a target of 40, we're at 38.7, well within the limit, that's passed. So we're not taking the judgment out of the technician's hands to make the verification on the medical device, make the verification that the procedure, that the result is within the specifications, and then capture that result. So you can see all these other pacer tests that are here. We can definitely run those tests, but we're going to skip those for now and show you other devices you can utilize. Of course, we're down here and we can skip this. And now if I need to do parameter testing, vital signs parameter testing, I have the ability now to use other devices. So I need to do an SpO2 test. Let's go ahead and do that. As soon as I hit run, it instructs the simulator to set the values to that. I need to get a source pulse rate from the SpO2 device, so I'll disconnect the ECG leads. And I have my parameters, my test points from my simulator. I need to be generating a pulse rate of 230. I verify the medical device is giving me that value. And then here in the center is your pass-fail tolerances. So we include the pass-fail tolerances, and then we're looking at the medical device and confirming the result. We're at 231, capture that. SpO2 is at 98. I've captured that, I verified that step. So it allows me to utilize all these devices, have them programmed, capture the result. And we have other tests we could do. I'll go ahead and skip down, and you could do the same thing with other parameters. I could do that with these NIBP. I need to do an NIBP calibration test maybe. I can utilize the SimCube for that. Maybe I need to do a performance test. I need to run an NIBP. I'll hit run. It tells the simulator, set your test for these parameters, a heart rate, pulse rate of 80, and simulate a blood pressure of 120 over 80. And you can customize all of these values within the procedure to whatever the manufacturer requires. So the advantage of the other advantage of the checklist is I could program whatever values I want. So sometimes the devices may have some limitations as to what simulations you could run, but when you're programming a checklist, you could utilize anything you want in 5-digit increments. So it allows me to do the test and capture that result. I need a target of 80. I got 80 here. I have a pressure of 115, which is within spec. And then my diastolic is 80, and that's good. So I run through all of the tests necessary within my procedure. You complete them all, and you hit yes. I finished the entire thing. And then same thing as before. You can see here I'm getting a warning message here. It's letting me know, hey, I have 955 records. I may want to consider uploading them to my CMMS or to my cloud drive. And so it's just an alert to let you know, hey, your storage is getting full almost. So we can store 1,000 records, but once you get up to every 100 records, we give you a little alert saying, hey, you may want to do that. But once you get past 900 records, we do it almost every 10 records, I think is what it is. So the report very similar to what we've been seeing earlier. Now you can see as you utilize more devices, more test equipment, you see more things in included in the demographics of the serial numbers and the calibration date. So it's a really complete report. It's great for auditors. They like to see this because not only do they want you to tell them that you've completed the procedure, you've completed the service, but what test equipment did you utilize and were they within their calibration? So the test equipment knows their calibration date and it transmits it to the app wirelessly. So it's not something the user can manually enter. The devices know their calibration date. And below that, you have a complete report, kind of similar to what you saw earlier. You have your electrical safety data here. We did multiple safety tests, so you'll see multiple times. And then you'll see everything about the procedure we ran. So it even lists the configuration of the procedure that you ran, what tests were performed, which ones were not, and then every step of the test performed you'll see here, including steps that maybe we skipped. Now, I did this because I have administrative rights. The technician's going to have to follow them all through again. So you can see every step, every pass-fail condition of each step, and if there's results that were captured, that will be in the report as well. So everything is all in here, and you have the ability to cap all this data in your report. So the results are next to the test. So here's the test, here's the result that passed. So we document it as kind of a procedure type report. And again, you have all of your tests, including your simulation tests, and I can take more pictures, add it into the report as I need to. So that's the different modes you can utilize the app in. Now, you also have kind of a fourth mode, which is if you want to have it controlled from your CMS system, from your work order, we have the ability to integrate that into your CMS so that you can just instruct from your work order, go to the analyzer, be it the safety analyzer, be it the simulators, the infusion pump analyzer, execute the tests that I require, that I programmed into my CMS, and bring back those results live into the CMS. So there's different integration options available up to the point where you can have full control of it right from your work orders, because some organizations want you to work from your own work order within your CMS systems. Maybe you want to work offline, do all your work, and then come back and sync to your CMS system. So there's a variety of integration options available that are quite flexible, and we've designed it so it can meet whatever your preferred workflow is. And then lastly, you have this PM sticker that I've been teasing you about this whole meeting. And what it is it gives you the ability to print out a PM sticker. So what we've done is we've worked with Brother, probably a company you may be familiar with, and we work with them to generate a driver that can communicate to the Mobilize app. And they have a couple of different Bluetooth drivers, so I can Bluetooth connect this Bluetooth printer to the app. Actually, I have 3 Bluetooth printers. Here's the second one. It's a little larger. This is a fixed tape, 24 millimeters, and this lets you select the size of the tape you want. So you can see it's a little bit larger than the other, but they're pretty inexpensive. And the beauty of the Brother printers, if you're not familiar with them, is they're just cartridges. You would just change them. They're laminated, so you don't have to worry about the ink being rubbed off as the clinician is cleaning the device, or maybe you're cleaning the device. It's got adhesive on the back too. And they're available in 6 different colors for some folks who like to use it to kind of color code their PM stickers. So I can connect this PM label maker to the app, and I can customize my PM sticker. So this is kind of a preview of what it would look like. But if I wanted to modify it, maybe a little hidden back there, there's a modify button. I could tap on that, and I can modify any of these fields. So whatever data is in these fields, I can modify, I can customize the PM sticker the way I need to. And then I could decide what fields I want to have enabled, which ones I don't, and you can reorder the vertical order of what fields and how you want it to print out on the label. And you have a variety of options here. You could change from what is the next inspection cycle you want to select, from 3 months to 24 months. You could change the day format. Maybe you just want to do month and year. You could change that. And if you had a printer with multiple size tapes, you could select what size tape you're going to utilize. Then I can just go and save it, and I'm going to make it permanent, and then I'm just going to go ahead and print a label. And so it really eliminates the need to manually print on a label maker. We heard from a lot of customers around the country that printing PM stickers is a chore. If you're buying big rolls of PM stickers and trying to manage that, or the technician's having to manually write one out and then put tape over it and attach it to the medical device. So the Brother label maker makes it real simple. It's printed, and then you just peel back the adhesive and attach it to the medical device. So it's pretty small, customizable to however you want. And then the other thing that's nice is that we did a test, and this test passed. So because this test passed, it allows me to print out a PM sticker with a completion date and the next due date. But let's say the test failed. If this test would have failed, it will only allow you to print out a failed PM sticker. And you can make that message whatever you want, a need service, unit failed. You decide what that message is, but it will not print out a pass PM sticker if the device failed. So that's kind of a general overview of what the app can do. You can see it's got a lot of capabilities. I touched on just a fraction of it, but the high level features and how it can be customized and utilized to best fit what your needs are. And so if you have any interest in this, please contact us. We'd be happy to set up a one-on-one demo with your organization and how we can make this best work for you, as it's very adaptable. Or if you'd like to see an on-site demo with us, we'd be happy to come out and see you. Thank you.
Julia, thank you. That was a lot of information that you offered up there. A lot of great information. We did have some questions come in real quick, and I think I'm reading this correctly, but on the test results from the Plum 360, the checklist field shows Zoll M series. Where does this information come from, and how can we change it?
Yes. When I was initially preparing for the webinar, I had previously done a Zoll M series test, kind of preparing for this, and it didn't clear that value out when I ran the next test. So I should have cleared that test out before I ran the next one. So that was kind of an error on my part. You would not normally see a previous test on the next test.
Gotcha. And then another question is, do we have access to the checklist library?
Yeah, the checklist library is something we'll make available to customers. Honestly, it'll be available as kind of a service value add. We're continually building up our library. So we're happy to discuss with you what are the procedures we have available, what procedures maybe you need beyond what we have available. We're happy to generate them for you, but it will be kind of a value added service. And once we have the tool available to have you generate your own automated test procedures, we'll make that available as part of an agreement, so that if you prefer, you could make your own library of automated procedures with different devices.
And then someone asked, would an old SimCube SC5 work with this?
Yeah, so we try to design all of our products so that they're upgradable. And so we try to maintain that with these designs. We know there's a lot of happy customers with our products. And so you do have the ability to upgrade all of our SimCubes or OxSims, even if you have the prior generation OxSims, infusion pump analyzer, safety analyzer. We would just need to look at the serial number and confirm that the hardware is compatible. As long as the unit's like around 10 years or less, then they can be upgraded. If they're older than 10 years old, we'll still give you a $500 trade-in credit towards purchasing a Mobilize compatible device. So we try to give you an upgrade path in any way we can. So definitely, if we can get a list of devices and serial numbers, we can confirm what can be upgraded and what the price would be.
Another question that came in is, does Pronk have a CMMS program?
Yeah, it's interesting. We started off with this app that only would do safety testing, and it is continually grown as we get customer feedback like, can you keep going? Can you add more devices? Can you add more capabilities? But we don't believe we're going to go as far as creating a CMMS system. There's a lot of solutions out there in the market that work real well. And so we're always going to be kind of a partner program to a CMMS system, but probably not a CMMS itself. But who knows what the future holds? We've added a lot more, so we're not that far off. But for right now, we're looking to partner with a CMMS company to do the integration with that master database.
Then I'm curious, because it's gift giving season, is there any kind of like a set of devices that come together, or somewhere where people can go to see what maybe they might be interested in buying for themselves or for someone else this gift giving season?
I see. Looking for like bundles, that sort of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Package bundles. Yeah, we do have a variety of bundles available. We try to have bundled packages available that best fit what features you need for servicing the medical devices you have in your inventory. Very budget-friendly packages for our simulators or infusion pump analyzers. We also offer a BMET pack option where you can have all your test equipment in one pack, including all the accessories. So we offered tailored bundles that best fit your budget and your feature needs. So we definitely can talk about what you need and what would work best.
All right, that's all the questions we have time for today, but I did want to mention congratulations to Joshua Moffett from the Kansas City Orthopedic Institute. He won today's $100 Amazon gift card for correctly answering the trivia question of Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer was Scrooge's first name. Julio, thank you so much for your time today and this great presentation. I want to encourage everyone to visit pronktech.com to check out those bundles and more information about these great devices. And a quick reminder that your CE certificate will be available by completing the post-webinar survey. That'll walk you through it, and then you'll get an email with your certificate later on. I also want to encourage everyone to visit onetechnation.com/Tech Choice Awards and vote for the second annual Tech Choice Awards. We have some great people up for some great awards, and we'd love to have your feedback and have your vote count. So onetechnation.com/Tech Choice Awards. And thank you so much, everyone. It's been great having these webinars this year, and we look forward to having some more next year. Have a great day.